what is the benefit in it? Aren't we on the Mahayana path? Aren't we dedicated to help the others, to serve the others, to make the others happy? How can we make the others happy? When the people look at you like this, do they really want to be happy? So if we observe that we are getting in a kind of bad mood, and that in one way it will, of course, go on outside and be seen from the outside, let's immediately change that. Yes, we can change our thoughts. You're in a bad mood in 1 minute, you can be happy the next minute. It depends on you. Who else? It's not your mind which forces you to be in a bad mood. So it's obviously you who should have a control of your mood. And having a control of your mood, you can say, okay, I change it, I brighten it up, especially if you enter in contact with people. Why? Because you want the others to be happy. So if you want to make the others happy, have a happy face at first and greet them, be pleasant to them, not rude. It doesn't help. And by the way, in which way the bad mood helps us in anything? Do we get any comfort in being in a bad mood? Do we progress spiritually by being in a bad mood? I mean, if you enter into the recitation of prayers or sadhana or recitation of mantras with a bad mood, hello, I mean, it's like you look at the Buddha with I just recite my prayer, but really I'm pissed off. I mean, it doesn't help anything. At the contrary, it leads us to accumulate negative energy, negative karma. Who is in a bad mood? The others or us? Well, the others, we cannot always change the mood of the others. We can change our mood. And maybe through changing our mood, we can help the others eventually to change, to brighten their own mood. It's our mind. From a minute to another, we are able to change it. So in the same way, trying to be pleasant by our mood, we can also be pleasant by our words. When we talk with the others, how do we talk? Which way, which manner do we use to talk to the others? Yes. The text says explicitly to strive speaking gentle words, polite words, and make a discourse or an expose which can please the ear of the others, not to speak with harsh words or in an unpolite way. This is the verse 79, which says, in a soft and gentle voice one should speak sincere, coherent words that have a clear meaning and are agreeable, pleasant to hear, and rooted in compassion. In the same way, when we walk outside, when we walk in the streets, let's try to remain focused on either what we are doing or the goal that we are going to achieve, observing the mind, not to let it wild. And to achieve this, it is said better to look several steps ahead of us on the ground. This is quite the opposite of what we are doing, usually just looking here and there, attracted by the shops and I don't know how to call this, showcases in the shops and so on. No, in this case we try to be focused. It has many advantages. It helps to pacify the mind. It helps to avoid stepping in things you should not step in. you see what I mean. And it's also avoid to kill, because if you look ahead of you, you can see a bug or an animal that you will not step on. Then going a bit further in the text, it almost looks like my mother. Because it says that when we eat, we should not eat with open mouth or making noise, eating with it says, of course, that we have to respect the places, not to throw garbages, not to to spit, not to do anything else actually, like urinating and so on, in water or in lands where people are living. So these are examples of good behavior, good sense behavior, but often forgotten, even in our time. My mother again, in the line 94, which says one should not point out anything with one finger.
In zopet moja mama v vrstici številka 94, ki pravi, da ne smemo kazati na nič s prstom.
But instead should respectfully show the way with the full hand.
Temveč moramo namesto tega spoštljivo pokazati za celo dlanjo.
In the same way, when we want to show a painting, especially when it is a Dharma painting with a Buddha on it, we never use one finger to point out, but we respectfully show with the right hand.
Podobno, kadar želimo nekomu pokazati sliko, primer Dharma sliko, na kateri je upodobljen Buda, na njo nikoli ne pokažemo z enim prstom, temveč spoštljivo z celo desno dlanjo.
And actually, why the right hand? Because if we replace the text in its context, there was no toilet paper at the time, but it was washed with water, and the washing takes place with the left hand. So in the same way that in this country you don't shake the hands with the left hand, which would be extremely disrespectful, but use the right hand. Also, it is said at the time of sleeping, in order to keep the mind focused and in the right direction, it is better to lie down in what we call the lion's position. So, also in a vigilant way. It's quite rare that we can spend the whole night in the same position, but at least if we can fall asleep in that position or spend some time in that on the lion position, which is on the right side and not like this on the bed, yes? And the goal is to translate it, to have a controlled way to engage also into sleeping. So these are some examples. You can find some further example in the text itself. And understanding the meaning of the text, we can apply this to every action of our daily life and ask ourselves if what we are doing, the way we are doing it, is respectful, is correct. We have a sense of correctness once we follow the path of the Bodhisattvas, once we have read about the perfections, the 6 perfections, and so on. We know how it is correct to act and behave. But many times we don't do it because we don't think about it. We just let the mind wild and therefore engage in negative actions of body, speech and mind. So in all moments of our daily life, we observe the mind. It doesn't mean to get stressed about the mind. Yes, it's not stressful to observe the mind. It is a peaceful process. You just observe. And if the mind is going in a direction which you know is not positive, then you apply the right antidote. You see that anger is arising, you observe the mind, and you apply the right antidote, which can be a meditation on compassion, on bodhicitta, patience. So you apply immediately the methods which will help to transform these disturbed thoughts.